Imagine for a moment, if you would, you have been born fully mature, fully aware of both yourself and the world you have been born into, aware that you were born for a purpose and for a single solitary reason. Image that you have been born into a situation where in order to survive and prosper you must seek to bring harm to others and climb over the bodies of others so that you might not be dragged back into the void, losing yourself. Imagine being born with the knowledge, should you perish, your body might vanish, but the essence of your being would remain only without your mind attached to it, as someone else takes up the mantle of you, without actually being you. Imagine that you are born without choice and without the ability to divert yourself away from a path that would certainly lead you into conflict and danger, lest you risk being consumed by those around you for their own sake. This is the life a devil in the world of Chainsaw Man is born into, a being born of humanity's fears and yet possessing a full capacity for adult human levels of intelligence, seemingly from the moment they come into being and yet being completely lacking in free will to the extent that they cannot go against the nature of that which brought them into being. For instance, the darkness devil would not willfully seek to create light, the shark devil would not seek to kill of sharks and so on, because their very existence is tied into these ideas being feared. Hello and welcome, I am the Anonymous Weeb, and in today's video I am going to be discussing the tragedy of being born as a devil in the world of Chainsaw Man and why, despite being the villains quote-unquote, they are really pitiful creatures brought into being by the feebleness of humans and forced to bear the weight of our weakness upon their backs. Devils, from the moment they come into being, are hated, not for their individuality and not for their actions but because of what gave birth to them. No one likes to be afraid, even those who seek out danger don't do so for the sake of fear but for the thrill. Devils are born to be hated, to be rejected and to be abused so that humans can ignore their own fears rather than face them head-on. Devils are born hated even by their own kind, for they are brought into an unfair world where it's become strong or vanish from this world, bring fear or else cease to be. That is the nature of a devil's birth. Devils are born in such a way that in order to survive and prosper they must hate or at the very least actively seek to harm others, which in turn brings more hate back to them. A devil who isn't hated, isn't fear, risks ceasing to exist or being too weak to defend itself from devils who are willing to take the steps needed to ensure that they are safe and secure. They by the very nature of their being have been pushed into this cruel dog-eat-dog world where there is no escape. Devils are also likewise born without choice. As I stated before, they didn't choose to be the personification, the embodiment of this thing which people fear, they didn't choose any of this. Unlike people, who at least for the most part have some kind of choice, a devil lack that. Oh, they can certainly choose their actions, but their fate is determined from the very beginning of their inception. They will always be this thing which scares people, they will always need to scare people because that is how they live, they will always be a monster in the eyes of those that created them. Even if a devil does good, even if a devil becomes a hero to the population, like Chainsaw Man, in the end they will find themselves being demonized because of what they are, and the moment they make a slight wrong move they will be hunted down without remorse. And finally, perhaps the most tragic thing about being a devil, is that you were born from another person's weakness, another person's fear. You were born because someone, somewhere was afraid of something. It might not even be something that was deserving of fear, an irrational fear that is soon squashed, but now you exist, and you must continue to cause more people to fear that same thing, something which may be an almost impossible task depending on the fear that made you. You might have to target the mentally unwell, the young or the old, feeble or the strong. Regardless of your thoughts on the matter, you need to instill the same fear, the same weakness into someone else that your originator felt. Is it any wonder why even the weakest devils seek to instill fear into the population, when it's the population which made them out of their own weakness and gave them the responsibility of prolonging that weakness? The existence of a devil is just one great tragedy from beginning to end. So if you would, next time you watch Chainsaw Man cut up another devil, remember they exist because of the human's weakness, forced to continue to harm and otherwise scare people lest they completely fade away. But regardless, I'd like to hear what you think about this in the comments down below. I've been the Anonymous Weeb and I wish you a good day or night where you are.